The next theme for the session is based on waste management. I would like to request the following dignitaries to be present on stage. Mrs. Indumathi Nambi from IIT Madras, Mr. Mudit Narayan from Blume Ventures, Mr. Srinivasa Varadarajan from LanzaTech, Mr. Deepak Rajmohan from GreenPod Labs, Mr. Nipun OS from GPS Renewables.
Good morning, everybody. Okay, so let's get started. So this session is going to be on waste management. And we have very distinguished guests with us here who have made major strides in the waste management area. And myself, I've been asked to anchor this session. I am Indumathi Nambi, a professor in the Environmental Engineering Division of Civil Engineering Department in IIT Madras. I do work and research a lot in this area, wastewater, both industrial, domestic, and focusing on developing circular solutions in all these areas. As we all know, waste and wastewater have been in existence ever since humanity exists. And now we have a serious problem because of the population explosion. But still, technologies have been the same for a very long time. No major breakthroughs have happened. And most of the time, in India particularly, it's run by the government, and there are issues with that, particularly if we want to bring in innovations and make it a business model. So now things are changing. We have a lot of startups coming in the sector. We're going to hear all about it from our panelists. And we all have realized that the success for wastewater and waste management is bringing in successful business models. Technology is not the gap. We have a lot of technologies already existing, which are very good, proven technologies, but still we are not seeing a big impact on the ground, right? We see a lot of success stories coming up every now and then at a small scale. So I would like to have this discussion around that area. Everybody has seen successes, but how do we scale up? We have a massive population, we have massive problems in waste and wastewater. I think they have to go together. So how do we scale up? Based on, I would like the panelists to share your experiences on your success stories, and also how do we take this success story at a country level? What kind of business models we need to look at, we need to revisit, and I think the audience is also looking for such solutions. So along the discussion, I can also talk about what technologies we are developing in IIT Madras, and at the end of the panelists' introductory session, I will talk about it, and what are the other initiatives we are taking in IIT Madras to convert these technologies to businesses and come up with solutions which can be and have a large, not only environment impact, and it's the biggest thing about these two sectors are, it can have a huge social impact. It can have a huge health impact in the community. So I'll hand it over to my panelist on the right first. Please introduce yourself and about your company, and then we can move on to the other discussion.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My name is Mudit Narayan. I represent Blume Ventures, which is a homegrown Indian venture fund in its 13th year now. It has a long history of investing in, of course, the consumer internet economy, but a lot of companies in the deep tech space. In the climate space, very proud of our portfolio in electric vehicles. The Blume funds, early carbon investments go back as far as 2011 when they made an investment in carbon capture, and that was one of their star successes. In the last few years, a lot of work on electric vehicles, and now going deeper into areas such as batteries, such as energy storage in various kinds, materials, and also looking deeply at waste recycling or upcycling in 4 broad areas specifically: metals, plastics, solar panels or silicon-based materials, and battery materials, which we believe both of these are the reason many of us are here are because both these things, solar panels and batteries of various kinds, are critical parts of the solution to the climate challenge, but also because as they grow, as they come to the end of their life cycles, they will start becoming what is called waste. And we strongly believe, we've been working on many TCs, on investments, that most materials can be recovered. We can move towards circular economy. The previous session had a lot of conversation on plastics and other kinds of recycling, and the insight to me was that the cost effectiveness is still to be is the most critical factor, and then you can add value on that, and we strongly agree with it. We also have been working on identifying areas where more waste upcycling or material upcycling can be considered and achieved. Just going back to the fund itself, has a long history of working with deep tech and early tech startups across the piloting, the proof of concept, and then scale up stages. We also do provide the companies guidance on other areas that they can harness for the market. With that, let's pass it on to the real stars of the show, the founders.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. Great to be here. So I'm Deepak Rajmogan. I run a company called GreenPod Labs. We are a biotech company, so we primarily develop solutions to minimize food wastage and food losses. The product what we develop is it's like a small sachet, similar to what you find in a silica gel packet when you buy like leather bags and leather shoes. Those sachets help extend the shelf life of fruits and vegetables during transport and storage. Our product works at ambient temperature. So primarily the hypothesis what we are working on is replacing cold storage and cold supply chain and making sure the fruits and vegetables which is transported are not spoiled during transport and logistics for long distance areas. The reason why we are doing this, India is the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables, but still about 40% is lost before it reaches the consumer. And a couple of statistics which is like mind-boggling is even though we are the second largest producer of fruits and vegetables, we export less than 3% and we process less than 2%. So about like 97% of commodity is consumed as whole fruits and it's within India. So that's what we are trying to solve. So we work with supply chain players, people who are doing more than like 4 to 10 days of transport in India and to outside India as well. Yeah, so we are a 3.5 years old company. And we are a deep tech, deep science company. So our science, what we use a science called defense mechanism with the fruit and vegetable. So we activate the fruit and vegetables immune system by which we extend the shelf life without any exterior requirement per se. So that's what we do. And yeah, we are based in Chennai as well. Yeah, thanks.
Hi. Yeah, I'm Varadarajan. I represent a company, LanzaTech. LanzaTech is mainly on converting waste to wealth. Our mantra is to convert any waste from industrial waste to chemicals, and we use gas fermentation as our platform and microbes to enable the fermentation process. And we started as a startup company 12 years ago, and we have 6 commercial plants operating in 4 in China, 1 in Europe, 1 in India, which is starting up, predominantly converting the industrial off gases to chemicals. Start with, we have converted the industrial off gases like carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide to ethanol, but we don't want to stop there. Our innovation will continue, and from ethanol, we are moving to other chemicals like IPA, acetone, ethylene, and other products, chemicals predominantly. So our platform is, as I said, it's gas fermentation. It's unique by itself because most of the fermentation are enzymatic fermentation, whereas we are taking a novel approach on gas fermentation. And our model is also completely different because we use a licensing model. We don't have a product to sell, but we have a technology to sell. So it's completely different approach. So we license technology for converting the waste. And so innovation is our part and part of life. So we have a big R&D. We started with, it all started with 2 people, and now we have grown up as 400 people in the company worldwide. We are headquartered at Skokie in Illinois, USA. And we have also got an office in India and China, and we are also building an office in Europe and UK, mostly converting industrial wastes. So the earlier plants all started with steel mill off gases conversion to ethanol. But in India, we have put up a plant for converting the refinery off gases to ethanol. That is coming up in Panipat. It's an advanced stage of commissioning, and very soon it will be fully operational. And in Europe, it is a steel mill off gas again to convert that into ethanol. And basically, we have merged the biology with chemical engineering, and we use the synthetic biology as our platform. And we are no longer a startup company, but we are going into a commercial company.
Thank you, sir. I'm Nipun. I represent GPS Renewables. Again, not a startup anymore. This was founded by a couple of my batchmates and friends from IIM Bangalore 10 years back. For most part of our existence, we were doing residential scale biofuels, basically biogas plants. So our primary customer base was these residential apartments and hotels, hotel chains. Over the last 2-3 years, there has been a significant shift in policy in India. Therefore, and also the funding scene is much more favorable. So therefore, we have sort of gravitated towards larger projects, city-scale projects. One of the success stories is the project in Indore, where more than 500 tons of MSW is treated every day, and we generate around 15 tons of biomethane. So that was done in an EPC mode by us. The principal was someone else. But of late, we can see significant traction, and then we are executing large projects from multiple types of feedstocks pan-India as we speak. So yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, all of you. So I have been a big fan of GPS Renewables. So ever since I visited your plant in Taj, I think in Chennai you have a plant in Taj, right? So it's one of the success models. Having seen, I don't know how many are from Chennai. I think Tamil Nadu, Chennai Corporation has installed about 40 plus biogas plants of the same size, 1 ton, in every ward of almost every zone there is a biogas plant, but unfortunately none of them are working. Right now my class is visiting all those failed biogas plants to understand why they failed. So when I visited this plant, GPS plant, it was very, very impressive because the success story is monitoring, as I understand, right? So although they don't have people in Chennai, they do this online monitoring sitting in Bangalore. And it's key. Any biological system, I hope all of you would agree with me, needs close monitoring. So I think that is your key to success. So
yes, we don't allow the plant to reach a failure point. Yeah. So we do. We have our own little bit IP. There are modules which measure the pH, and then and then pass back instructions to the operator in a very simple English format. Add this. Things like that. So typically it doesn't reach once it reaches a failure point, almost 40-50 days goes in emptying the the tank, and then re-inoculating
biological
it. All
systems
of that.
are very, very tricky. Even at lab scale, we all struggle. So the question to all of you who have grown to companies, startups to companies, we have several young startups here, and even research scholars are here who are working in this domain. So what is your success path? No, we all start at a very small level. How did GPS grow to a company, and what is, apart from the technology you've put in, what other inputs are required to grow from startup to a company?
So, I mean, I think luck plays a role, a big role. Therefore, Satat came along in
Can you
2018.
have it a little closer?
Satat came along in 2018, so which is
Mhm.
basically a bit of assurance from the government that, you know, while you produce gas, there is a minimum guarantee of certain level of offtake guarantees there. So while the state does not say that, you know, we'll take all the gas, but there is some revenue assurance. So that played a role.
Mhm.
And then for us, this Indore plant, it was just a jump into the dark. We were dealing with very small scale plants, but then we took that risk. We did it. We quoted, quite aggressively, and then I thought that kind of hustle really helped. And then we had and while we were growing, we made the right set of recruitments. So we have the ex-Shell R&D. A lot of the core team is extremely capable, and their skills are good. So some of these factors really helped us. Of course, technology played a huge role. I don't want to go into that, but I think policy level play has really helped us a lot.
Mhm.
And then, for example, when investors look at it, they look at the the revenue certainty, which comes from both gas, and there are other products like manure, carbon credits, which comes. So a lot of this gives enough confidence for, that has helped us,
Yes.
that kind of positioning, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think most of the environment companies fail to highlight these aspects of their company, the eco footprints, the change in the carbon dynamics, and like for carbon footprint mitigation, all that. So it is important to be your marketing strategy to not just talk about what you're doing and business model and what ROI you get and all that, but also the carbon footprints. And now I think companies are getting there. No? Everybody has got that. So I would like to move on to the, I think could you please let us know your success story. What is the key to your success going from national to international level success? Could you please throw some light on that?
Well, this is mainly on the innovation, and the government policies. The foreign policies like US and European policies are more towards decarbonization of the industrial waste. So that helped us tremendously. And to start with, the government organizations like DOE in United States supported us heavily, and the entrepreneurs also wanted to invest on green. They were very keen. So the support from the government as in the policy, as well as by the so-called venture capitalists and the growing industrial awareness helped our company tremendously. But what helped us more is we wanted to quickly move from our demo and pilot plant to commercial plants. So we took the right composition of the team who are good in quickly scaling up things. And most of, if you see, we have a background from refineries and petrochemicals where scaling is not a problem for us. We can put a 3 barrels pilot plant and also 30,000 tons commercial plant pretty fast. So that is the composition of the team and our ability to implement what we learned in other industries quickly and adopt for this unique gas fermentation helped us tremendously. Now we are not stopping with, say, 2 tons plant. We are talking about 300,000 tons plant per annum. So that is where we are right now at this, and that's what has helped us to quickly get into commercial scale. And also we need policy support. Without policy support, either it is from the government or the industry by itself to get into the new carbon-free environment, it's not going to help. So it has to come on both sides. So that's where in developing world like India, China, we need more government policies for this industry to grow and convert the waste into wealth. Other than that, of course, there are challenges because any scaling up, it's not going to come for free. The major problem we have is the equipments. See, when we move from such a big scale, the equipments are still a problem. So one of the major problems we face is the right size of equipment availability. For example, we need a compressor, we need a turbofan which have huge capacity but low head. It's all not easy to get off the shelf. So we are developing vendor developments and the equipment manufacturers has to come up. And once that's all done, that will reduce the cost of production. So always it all goes in, not only the technology stands by itself, as rightly is pointed out by the earlier speakers, we should have a solution which will make money. It has to sustain. So that is our core mantra, that we want to make the product better than the products which are coming out of the synthesis or chemical processes. So that being the case, we need the support from the industry as such in terms of equipments. And as far as the innovation, we don't want to stop at just making a product and selling the technology. We want to stay with the customer till the last. That means we want to be constantly monitoring their process and provide solutions. As you rightly said, these microbes are very, very sensitive. Even a small change in the feed conditions or other environment can make them to underperform or do some things which are not acceptable. So we have to be on constant this thing. And that is where we are equally investing on the biological front as well as on the engineering front. That's how we manage.
Thank you. I think that, your technologies, I think in terms of adaptation in India, do you have any success stories in India? Because it's relatively new gas fermentation to the market. No? Who are your customers in India, and how did you get to them?
Yeah, as I said, our commercial plant is likely to be fully operational in IOC Panipat. That is the Indian Oil Refinery facility at Panipat Refinery. They are taking the PSA off gas, that is the pressure swing absorber of gas, which is predominantly carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide and hydrogen, and it is converted into ethanol. And this facility will be soon on full capacity. We expect it in next couple of months. So we have a lot of customers in India, especially the steel mills are very much interested. But right now, the government policies, we are waiting for certain policy announcements for them to take off. Already they have engaged with us, and they are actively working with us, and we have even delivered the so-called basic engineering package to some of the customers, and they are eagerly waiting for certain policy announcements in terms of product pricing or other funds which are required to start with when they compete with the other products in the market. So that is so there is no problem for the customers, and India is one country where it adapts quickly. So there are a lot of interest, and especially in the areas of refining, they always look for new technologies. So there is no problem
oil
as
sector
such.
is predominantly your customer base. Okay, wonderful. Yeah. So over to you. So I think yours is truly a disruptive technology, as we have described in the third question. So I know you will be having your IP, but how does it work? Because it's fascinating to hear that you can eliminate cold storage. And I have visited the biggest market in Asia, the Coimbatore market, where we see a lot of food and particularly vegetables and fruits getting wasted in tons every day going to the biomethanization plant. So it's truly disruptive. How do you think you can take it, let's say your technology, can we take it to Coimbatore market to reduce the wastage?
Yeah, for sure. So just to show the scale, this is how the product looks like. So these are the sachets what we develop. So we already work in Coimbatore market with customers over there. So our opportunity is like, how can we prevent the spoilage before that happens? And right now the biggest challenge what's happening is there's no proper demand and supply which is predicted. So there is sometimes oversupply, there is sometimes less supply, and the demand is also fluctuating. And the markets where it reaches, there is always a quality degradation which happens. So those are the areas what we are tapping into. There's an inherent spoilage and quality losses what happens during the transport and logistics. Can you reduce that? And wherever there is a unpredictable demand and supply, can you minimize that risk? So those are the areas what we have been looking at. And the opportunity for us to scale faster, we were able to deploy this in multiple places in India, and outside India we've done pilots in Kenya, Philippines, Nepal and Bangladesh, because we understood the problem really, really deep. So we worked very close. I mean, the sustainability conversation doesn't work with the customer, so they don't actually care about the sustainability point. We understood that what's the economics behind the spoilage. So what we did is, with our product, we were able to provide a 6x ROI on the customer level. So if they're putting a $1, they're getting a $6 return on the investment what they've made. And that really changed the game, and then was helping us to move faster. So if you want to deploy a technology on the ground and scale, I think understanding the economics really, really matters. And what would take the customer also matters. That's one area where it helped us to scale faster. The other side is on the technology side, on technology and product side. So we took an approach of understanding the crop rather than understanding the product. So we went very deep on the crop, which is where the problem starts. Can we go deeper and understand how the crop works, how the fruits and vegetables operate, what are the challenges happening? We are more like a crop science company rather than an innovation or product company. So when you work as a crop science company, you understand what is required for the crop and then deliver the same way. That also helps us to scale faster. So we have a customized solution for each fruit and vegetable, because of which we're able to provide a 40 to 60% increase in shelf life. That's industry standard wise, that's 5-10x better than what's out there. The other third part is you need to think about your team in a completely different way. So we are a team of people who think from first principles. So everyone thinks from first principles and breaks down to what is required and how do we deliver it. And that also helps us to scale. So it's not conventional how we operate, be it our R&D lab or production plant. Everything is not conventional. So that also helps us to scale faster and approach market in a different way. So I think those are the three how we've been approaching. But yeah, so it's been scaling from that perspective.
So our target audience is typically government, large scale.
Yeah, so we don't work with government per se. We work with the individual traders and exporters. People who are doing 4 to 10 days of transport of fruits and vegetables. Okay. Either they transport within India or they transport to international markets. Okay. That's where the value loss is very high. And that's where we play the game. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
So
we're getting a time warning for a few minutes. Maybe if we can request each of you to share one thing which you would want the consumers to do, or maybe in the broader cycle, consumers, other partners, one small step and maybe 30 seconds each, and that will give us a chance to wrap up.
Cool. So I think from my perspective, the awareness towards food is still lacking a lot. What are the efforts, what it takes to bring the food to the table? I think that awareness can change our behavior much differently. I think the money what is put in, the efforts, time, and everything, every ecosystem what is built around food from farm to a consumer, I think that awareness, if end consumers build, they can demand a different opportunity. And that will change the food waste, food loss problem much better. I think that's one thing what I would say. So be aware of the process what your food goes through, and acknowledge that, and then change your behavior according to that. I think that's one thing what I would say.
Yeah, as regards to converting the waste from industrial, the awareness is fully there. The climate is changing. So everybody is seeing there is either flood or famine. So the awareness is getting very fast. And this is also, the governments are getting aware of this, and they want to prepare themselves for the disaster management and also remedies. So the awareness has picked up tremendously in the last decade. And so the question is the right technologies to get these awarenesses to solutions. That is what is more important. If you talk about the carbon capture, there are a lot of technologies for carbon capture and sequestrations, but there are very little technologies, or maybe the LanzaTech's gas fermentation is only technology for carbon utilization. So like that, the waste utilization technologies has to grow. The awareness has to be more on those for utilization of the waste than on just creating an awareness that this is harmful, but we have to find ways to do that. And in that regard, yes, Government of India has announced ethanol blending in fuel, which is one of the right step. Use agri-based instead of the fossil fuel. That's a good step, but again, it's going to compete with food, and so we have to have a long-term solution for all these policies which are getting implemented. So it should be a total a thought-through process than to just adopt some available technologies. That's how the awareness can be more effective and fulfilling than to just create an awareness.
So we are a B2B company, so there is not much scope for consumer behavior change. But like from our interactions with industries also, I feel that the awareness, they look at a cost of gas view alone, even for a green gas. So there is no concept of giving a premium, which can be there. So therefore, the holistic picture of a project, there are multiple revenue streams that are possible from a project, not just gas. You have carbon credits, and with the recent Article 6.2 credits, they command significant premium. So people, industrial customers should look at things in a much more holistic way. There are multiple possible byproduct valorization opportunities. That cost of gas cannot be the only line item based on which you buy. So that's all.
You have one question to the audience? Okay. I think in the interest of time, we don't have questions for the audience. You can always chat with the panelists during the tea break. I just wanted to close this session celebrating these success stories. And also, one question which comes to my mind, particularly with respect to biomethanization or food waste, is there is also a question of downscaling, right? Like biomethanization, rural areas, it started in a big way, in a small scale, but it is not successful for many reasons. And now there is a need back in the rural areas to downscale, and you said you're also working at a household level biomethanization plant.
Not household.
At the community, you're looking at apartments maybe.
Yeah, that level, like 100 kgs, 200 kgs of input per day.
So just your final thoughts on how is it possible to downscale it to a household level so that the LPG supply can be replaced with the biomethanization supply. Can we take technology for downscaling also so it can reach the unreached?
I think there are a lot of players who are in that space. We are not, it is not our forte. I don't think with our current set of capabilities we can go down that path. But I think there are cook stoves and a lot of projects which are viable and which are there. But I'm not very conversant about that market, but why not?
Yeah, so I would like to leave you with that thought, because with waste management, it is important to look at both downscaling to reach the masses and also upscaling, because sometimes it may not be viable options. So look forward to hearing from all of you during the tea session. If you have any innovative ideas in waste management, IIT Madras organizes Carbon Zero Challenge, a contest. It is an innovation and entrepreneurship contest. We work with early stage startups and also with research student teams, college teams. and we fund them to take it to a reasonable scale, a prototype, and also support them with innovation and entrepreneurship training programs. So look forward to chatting with all of you. Thank you all for your time. Thank you, the panelists, for your time.
I would like to request the speakers to stand together for a group photograph.
Okay, before you guys go off, a couple of announcements, very quick. There is some good tea awaiting you. First is the Junjanwala contest, as I mentioned, it is for early stage start.